Lucky Boys Podcast.
Welcome to Lucky Boys Podcast. I'm Will.
And I'm Norm. And welcome back.
You know what? It feels like it's been a while.
It has been a while.
Right?
It has been a while. It has been a crazy start for 2022, especially for me. I know I've been out, and about, but it's been crazy.
You had some personal things.
Family things. Actually, me and my wife. So it's slowly getting back into transitioning, back into normal, having conversations with people and sharing it with you guys.
Hearing you say, my wife, that does something. Like, this is you. I've known you for years.
Yeah.
And hearing you say your wife or your son, it's still some adjusting for me to get used to. And I know everyone listening, like with your friends or people that you know in your whole life, all of a sudden they're parents and you start seeing them change and you're like, wow, this parent person was a complete train wreck who you think would be a wild person.
Oh, I was a train wreck.
And not you, but I'm saying in general, right? Also with some of my other friends who surprised me, they turned out to be amazing parents.
I mean, I think we met up with some of our friends, and I remember John saying like, oh man, I can't believe Norm, dad, that was the first time he met Nico, my son. So it's I can look at it from his perspective and see why he would say that.
A lot of the people that I hear say that they usually aren't parents yet, they just have this negative outlook on marriage.
It might be restrictive to life, if they have,
that's one way of looking
if they're
at
very
it.
independent, maybe that's why. But the way I saw it is like if I wanted to get to the next level, and that's next level, what I mean by that is like financially, spiritually, mentally, is if my partner is on the same ride with with me as well. When you get into a relationship and you have someone that you can build a life with, you don't really lose that independency. You don't lose that independent side of yourself.
And I know you haven't, but I know a lot of people, when they get into a relationship, they lose a big piece of themselves.
They didn't find the right person.
And the second thing that happens to them,
They got trapped.
not only do they lose a piece of themselves, but they also seem to have lost some sense of freedom.
Yeah.
Once they got into a relationship, I almost see more pain in their eyes, or they were hiding something, and then they would put up walls, so that you couldn't really see what's going on inside of them emotionally.
But did you see like what was happening outwardly, like their relationship with their family?
I saw them less. I will tell you that.
Gotcha.
I saw them a lot less.
Yeah.
And eventually our friendship faded away. I mean, we still see them. If I still see them around, which is rare. Some I haven't seen in years, just disappeared off the face of the earth. And I think that's a shame, because they were such vibrant people, such like enthusiastic about life. They had tremendous energy.
So they lost it
exuded positivity.
when they got married.
Not even married.
Well, when they met this
relationship
person,
with a certain person that sometimes brings them down to whatever levels that person's at.
Right.
Instead of lifting up, a rising tide lifts all ships. Right.
Exactly.
Instead of that, they just was poking holes. They lose a big piece of themselves. The first one is to lose confidence, and they're trying to make this person happy. And the way I say it is that if you have to give up all these pieces of yourself to make somebody else happy, then that person's not the one.
No. Yeah, I agree. I think, just for myself, I've been in multiple relationships, where I saw myself kind of spiraling, not, achieving my goals that I set out for myself just as an individual. And was it because I was with this person, or was it because of me individually actually, having a conversation like that with yourself does help. And I actually saw like, oh, my better half is doing these things that might pull me away from my goals, right? So, but I mean, ever since my wife Gabby, we've been together, she's always supported me. She's always pushed me to be better myself, and she never, obviously there's certain things that would upset her, but she would never say like, don't do this.
She wouldn't put a speed limit on you.
No.
She knows that you are in good control of yourself.
Yeah.
And she's not going to try to cap you.
No. Yeah.
So exactly. That she can feel comfortable.
Yeah. So she
or that she can feel like she's able to control you.
No, it's
Because I really think that's about it.
control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually when they do that, it's because they want to control you. They
I-
want to control your audience. They want to control who sees you.
Yeah.
They want to control who you meet. And it could be because that person that wants all that control has been hurt.
Yeah. So
Right?
I think sometimes like when people want to control you, it's because they don't trust you. I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing. I always tell Gabby like everything that I'm doing and everything that I'm doing is for us, for the family, and I'll tell. I'm very open book. So there's no mistrust for her.
I mean, that's like sacrilegious for guys, but like I keep my phone around 24/7. I really don't. I don't think twice about it. When I go out, I walk
She knows
the
my
dog, I
password.
leave
She
the
knows
phone.
my
Yeah.
emails. I mean, like who I'm talking to. It's not like she asked me for these things. I'm like, what I'm doing when I go out, I'm doing business. I'm gonna make us proud. That's it.
You know what? Yeah, I think I would be like, I would start feeling some insecurity, or my spidey sense would raise up if I did see someone closely guard their phone 24/7.
I think that's strange if you're
Right?
really with
If
somebody.
if you walk in a room and someone goes, whoa, like that, I'm like, what the fuck were you looking at?
Yeah.
Like what was that? Like,
Exactly.
that'll make me
Unless it's like some
feel some type of way.
X-rated stuff, and then you don't want to hide that from. I don't know.
That's fine. I mean, I
Yeah.
could, like, if I walked into, and this hasn't happened, but like I walked in, they were like watching porn on the phone or any weird photos of like, let's say muscly dudes or whatever. All right, whatever. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, it's eye candy. I wouldn't feel any less. I wouldn't even feel bad. I would just kind of laugh. I would kind of find it funny, and then I'll probably make a joke out of it, right?
Yeah.
But if you're texting a dude that look like that,
Exactly.
and you're trying to keep that secret from me, that's different.
And you're being really sneaky about it, and it's
Yeah.
premeditated. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, let me write this poem for you. It's for you.
That's something else. But back to the whole marriage thing, why people view it negatively. We have a few friends that are
Anti-marriage? You would
because
say?
they were divorced. That's another
Oh,
reason.
yes.
Where you tried it out, and I'll give you.
I mean, they're anti. Like, I have a few
Well,
friends
we had
that,
Joel here before,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
shared openly about what happened with his
right,
marriage.
and then it's anti-marriage, but then he's a hopeless romantic. Like, he still want to fall in love. It's not. It's
Does
not
he still
like
want to get married?
that's another issue,
Okay.
right? You know what I'm saying? But he still wants to have kids. He's like that hasn't changed, but his idea of marriage has soured.
People also look at it from a business perspective, right? Is this person in the same class as me financially? Right?
Yeah.
I think that's way more prevalent now than I think it has ever been. And if we somehow get a divorce and I don't have protection, it could be one of the worst business decisions I've ever made in my life, because now you're on the hook for 18 years.
Yeah.
What really hurts is that they may not be using all of it for the children.
Right.
A lot of it
They'd
could be
using it for
to
themselves,
fund their lifestyle.
Yeah, their lifestyle. But there is, there's alimony that funds the lifestyle. But there's protections for that. But I think as you get older, you kind of build your net worth, and you have to think about those things. Those conversations and those thoughts will definitely come into mind, because you've built this, you built, this wealth, and you bought all these things, you maintain this lifestyle, and then all of a sudden, like, you want to bring someone to share that with, and then they have the ability to take it away. I think those are very valid questions to have when you get older.
So one of my friends, he told me a story from one of his friends who was married. Well, his coworker was married for over 12 years, right? And he's always worked hard. Less than a year into their marriage, she quit her job and just decided to just stay home. The deal was like, she'll do all the house stuff, and she came up with this deal. She'll do the house chores, and while he's at work and doing his thing. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. After COVID, he was looking around like something had clicked, and he was like, she doesn't do squat for the kids, and it's the nanny that does everything. Like, now they have kids, right? After 5 years. So now they have kids. And he realized, like, oh my, he said he never realized how lazy she was, how useless she was, until he was working from home because of COVID.
And witnessed everything.
He witnessed everything.
Firsthand.
He was like, at first he said it was okay because, like, he didn't mind coming home to a fresh meal, a clean home, everything. He thought that was a good deal, whatever, right? And then when they had kids, that was even more justified, right? Because if you're okay before, you're definitely going to be okay after, right?
Yeah.
But then she convinced them that they needed a nanny. And then that's perfectly normal, right? I know a lot of people that have nannies, even with the stay-at-home mom, because it is tough. So then when he was home, the kid's a little older now, more independent. She's not breastfeeding or anything like that. So he was like, she doesn't do anything. She just on Instagram, on shopping, buying stuff on Amazon, and watching Netflix. And that's it. And then occasionally she'll go out for a walk. And he was like, the kids ask for her and her nose is on like her just locked in her phone. And they're hungry, and then she gets the nanny to cook something. He was like, what? This whole time he thought that she was taking care of something.
Right. Running the household somehow.
But
some ways.
What he realized is that the nanny and him was taking care of the kids plus her.
Wow.
Now check this out. He caught a bad bout of COVID.
Oh, damn.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I think they were going back to the office, and I think he said, he mentioned he may have caught it on the subway. So he isolated himself from home. Yeah. Wife didn't check up on him the whole time.
What?
No, wife never checked up on him.
I feel there's something missing. How did it just happen that he noticed this during COVID and not beforehand?
Whatever. Like, he's trying not to make a big deal out of it. Right? He's still not looking at it in the eye. He's not facing reality. Something happens. He gets injured, right? Pretty bad. Like, I think he needed knee surgery. I think he tore one of his, ACL, MCL, meniscus. I don't know, something there, right? I guess due to inactivity, and then all of a sudden trying to jump back into like basketball or something, you hurt yourself. So he busted his knee. Wife doesn't do anything. Now, he thought, because I got COVID before, I get it. She
didn't want to come near. Yeah.
He busted his knee, surgery. He's laid out. He has to order from like Uber Eats. Nanny's taking care of him. He has to call his mom in to come take care of him because his wife
she's like MIA, nowhere to be seen.
Nothing. And he's working on a divorce.
Oh, wow.
And from what I hear, he's saying never again.
Oh, never.
I will never, ever get married again. I will never trust another woman. Like, he is complete, like it's tarnished. His belief in love and romance, it seems like it's been betrayed.
The way you explain it to me is like, it's hard to imagine that all of a sudden he just noticed that his wife is lazy. It's sort of like there has to have been a personality trait that she was this way, even small, before.
But people can be oblivious to things, right? Maybe they don't want to look at reality in the eye, or they're in denial, or they make excuses. There's people that get, there's women, right, for example, that get so much as they get physically abused and they blame themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And then after some time and they get some space from the whole situation, they go, holy cow, that guy's a jerk. Like, it was that guy's fault. It wasn't my fault. The self-blame stops and they start realizing, okay, like, that's not a good situation. And I think now that all of those things happened, he's able to peel himself away from all that and go, she was never the right one. But now he's blaming it. Of course, your ego is going to get in the way and you're going to blame everything on that other person. I was betrayed, this and that.
Right.
And perhaps he was, but at the same time, like, to your point, like, dude, the clues were kind of there.
They had to be. They can't be all of a sudden showing up during COVID.
Right. Yeah. But again, I don't know this guy. I'm not close to him.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I would imagine, the clues, something had to be there to give it away. I mean, if you're living with a person, like, there's only so much of this facade that you can keep up, this persona.
Over a decade, right? To be able to, you're saying, like, she's never been lazy. You never seen the kids, like, never go, were never hungry before this.
Yeah, and I'm okay with certain types of laziness, right?
Yeah.
There's certain times where you just need a damn break and it's okay. Like, sometimes, like, if you need a day to be lazy or a week, a little vacation from life, a staycation and just be lazy and not pick up anything, like, I'm okay with that. I understand that. Or maybe you're just allergic to making the bed, and that's your one weakness, but you cook and you do all this other great stuff, yeah, I rock with you. I'm okay. I'll make the bed then.
Yeah.
I'll pick that up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. That's pretty extreme. Like if I have COVID and you're not even like dropping texts to me, like, hey, Will, you okay down there? You're not like trying to make me some soup and bring it down or something. You know, put on a few masks and just come down in the same house.
Yeah.
I mean, he was messed up for like 2-3 weeks.
Oh wow.
And you know, and now with the leg surgery, he couldn't even make any more excuses.
Right.
She just straight up didn't care. And part of it, like I think he is at fault. Like part of it, and I'm not victim shaming here, but part of it, like you have to have that awareness to go, all right,
Exactly.
this
That's
is
what I'm
pretty
saying.
messed up.
Yeah.
Like you got to look at the red flags.
Yeah. I mean, it can even be like.
I think the first one is that as soon as you got married, she quit her job.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, it could be any situation that
Like she made a deal.
Yeah.
Like I think they got married when they were in their 20s, mid 20s.
Uh-huh.
No kids, and you decide to quit your job and not help out financially.
Well, we don't know the situation. Maybe it was the plan. The plan, like, okay, we're gonna start having, planning for a family. Maybe this is the time to, quit and I'll be at the stay-at-home mom managing the household while you go work. We don't know the situation in the beginning, but during all that time where COVID happened and his knee surgery and then you don't have any inkling even before that where she was MIA. I'm sure there were occasions and situations where she wasn't there for you before that, so you didn't even notice, my dude.
You know what? Maybe they were having so much fun. When you're having fun, there's been times like relationships that I've been in, and not even between a male and a female or a sexual relationship or a dating type of relationship, just friendships, a relationship with another person that. When you're having fun, you only look at the good side, right? And if you're naturally an optimistic, positive person, and you look at the glass half full, that can also like where you just don't see these things,
or don't want to see them
until you go through tough times. And when you're in a relationship with anyone long enough, you're gonna have to face some challenges together. And some tough times. And I think that's when your relationship is battle tested. Right. I think that's when you really get to see, even if you're a glass half full person, like you get to see reality in the face. And perhaps he was fortunate to be in a honeymoon stage for a damn long time.
That's a long ass honeymoon stage.
Or he just had a high tolerance for BS.
Yeah. Or maybe he was just super because he was working, and he was making
very career oriented.
Career oriented. He was just distracted. He didn't pay attention. He didn't pay any mind to his household until he was actually in the physical space of his house to make him realize, like, oh shit,
she's trying to make bank.
Oh, off the divorce,
he makes good money.
Right.
So she's trying to really go for his jugular here, saying like he was never home. He was never home. She wants the kids too. Like she wants to hurt him. She wants to hurt him, like kick him right in the nuts.
Yeah.
He tried to do it
amicably,
very civilized.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she just
snapped.
Yeah, she snapped. She straight up. As soon as we said that, lightning just went flat.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought that was the light just like.
Yeah, that was lightning. And I don't know if the mic picked it up, but there was some thunder rumbling afterwards.
Man. But it's a great view. I mean, that's what I come here for. And to see you, of course. See how everything is. But damn, that sucks that he's going through that. The fact that he tried to civilly kind of resolve.
She was prepared and he wasn't. He thought he was just going in boyfriend girlfriend, like, all right, he didn't expect she would go for the jugular. She wants the kids, the crib,
everything,
money. She's making a case where she gave up her youth for him. It's like the whole 9 yards, man. Like she didn't work because of him. Like she's got everything on lock. She gave up her dreams. And
wait,
her
was
career.
there? You said there was an agreement. So was there a written agreement? Or was just like?
I'll be surprised.
I mean, it seems so formal.
It
seems so formal in the beginning. Like, okay, here you do the work, and I'll be the household.
It doesn't mean anything. You got to have like a lawyer look at everything, right? I mean, and then think about that. How much does it put a stain? Like that is probably one of the most unromantic things you can do, right? hey baby, sign this before we,
Yeah.
it's awkward.
I mean, it's not. That shouldn't be like right before taking that step to marriage. It should have been a discussion right before that.
It is somewhat of a business transaction a little bit these days, right?
Yeah.
And it's weird, but when you're in a different tax bracket, you could get harmed.
Yeah.
You could get harmed, or you marry someone who just doesn't have the same work ethic or principles as you. That also matters.
So I think in this day and age, is marriage a financial transaction, or is it a symbol of a love between two people?
It's both.
Or is it it's a combination of both?
For sure. The government looks at it that way. You're filing for, a single household income.
Right.
So you're in a different tax structure.
Yeah. Just in that case, I don't think it's wrong to have a conversation about finances, about how things will work out when before you get into marriage, because a lot of people, I think, they get into marriage
and they never have these conversations.
They never have the conversation. And what is the number one reason for divorce? Finances.
I would say money.
Yeah, finances.
Yeah.
No, it's actually there's documentation and historically it's proven that because of disagreements with finances, one person's handling it badly, or there's one person has a lot of debt and never had any discussions about that, and just destroys the that kind of unity. So I know for a fact, because I've learned from that I always have conversations with my wife about finances, what our financial goals are, what our goals, to as a couple.
I did the same thing. I mean, I crossed that same bridge. We talked about money. We talked about all that. But even with all that, I know some couples that had horror stories where they had secret accounts, secret credit cards, secret savings.
That breaks trust. So if you find that's, I don't know, that's hard to like climb out of that. Oh, man, it's crazy that he's going through this. It's going to be a long battle.
For his sake, I hope that he's not opposed to love or getting into another relationship with someone and building trust in the future. But I think what he needs to be opposed against, it's the way the system works. He didn't do anything wrong. He provided his whole life. Now he's going to have to pay lawyer fees, potentially lose half his wealth, his current and future wealth, in addition to sharing custody, having to need visitation rights to his kids, and losing his home.
It's like, it's a livelihood, pretty much building up, all these things just to be taken away from him. It's just tragic.
If your man doesn't want to put a ring on your finger,
the hesitation,
this could be why.
I wonder how that could be, that kind of fear can be diminished, or
I think that's why they have some clauses, and I think when you sign something that says you won't do that.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, like a prenup, or vice versa, right? Because the woman can also maybe have a substantial amount of assets, or even
a woman who's a successful lawyer,
right?
A woman that is the head of a giant firm, right? She's probably not. Women like that probably aren't going to marry down, like all the way down there to that point. And there's a study that says even women that are that successful actually has a really hard time meeting men who are comfortable with their success.
How about in the case where, you have, I think like Kelly Clarkson, she had a huge divorce with her husband, but she had to pay alimony to him, and
Britney Spears
as well. So those are, are those like more?
Those are rare
cases.
I think those are rare cases, right? I don't think. I'll put an example. Do you know anyone that's a female that has to pay alimony to him in real life, not in the celebrity?
In
TV?
My own personal circle?
Yeah.
No, but
neither do I.
That's my own circle. But
right. Neither do I. And I spoke to my other friends, right? Neither do they. Right. It's rare. I'm not saying it's not out there. We just named a couple of examples.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's rare. Now, do you know someone in the other way around? Do you know a guy that's paying alimony?
Yes.
I know several.
Yeah. But it's.
Do you know one, or do you know more than one?
But that research, I know it's rare, right, on the other side. And based on our research, is because of our network.
They would have a great case.
Yeah.
They have a fantastic case for it, right? I mean, they have to give birth, take care of the house, have a job, and while this guy does nothing but Xbox, she has a great point. Like, why should I, after divorce, why should I keep taking care of this kid, this child of a man?
Yeah.
Right? She has a fantastic point.
Yeah.
But like I said, those cases are extremely rare.
Yeah. I mean, we're pushing for equality. It seems like that's a huge double standard. You know, we're kind of cherry picking what should be equal.
Now, I do know some women that do take care of the house. Like, I know her husband, and she has kids too. Her husband is an aspiring YouTuber and a gamer, and he tries to stream and stuff like that. So he doesn't really have the traditional job, but he's also not getting views and getting paid as a Twitch gamer or whatever it is, right?
He is or he isn't?
He is not.
Okay, so he's just starting out.
No, he's been doing it for years.
Oh, years. Okay.
He's doing it for years.
Wow, that's a supportive wife. It's a supportive wife.
She's a sweetheart. She's very sweet. Yeah. She's very kind, very nice, very gentle. And she does really well for herself, but she works long hours. And it's not like she comes home to dinners either. She leaves the house, he's playing video games. She comes home, he's still playing video games.
But that's his job, quote unquote, right?
Right. And here's the thing, she's super understanding. She never nags at him for it. She's super chill with it, and she supports him.
But does he handle...
And she believes that he's going to make it as a video game streamer.
Does he manage anything else besides his household, the household?
No.
I don't know.
She's the finance person.
There has to be some sort of balance, right? And when you have that kind of family structure. Right?
I agree. And here's the balance. Her work ethic and her kindness and
scale, though,
it's really high, and his...
It's really low.
It's really low. So there's that balance.
Right. You're supporting your spouse in their in their dreams. There has to be a balance in some way. It has to be a counterbalance.
I would think at some point she would pull rank.
Yeah. Why would I would be for her to pull rank, right?
Yeah,
in that situation.
You gotta get your ass out. Like if like 6 months you don't come up with something, like something's gonna, if you don't like triple your followers. Or something or have a business plan.
If you don't have the YouTube plaque coming in, we're talking.
Like for us, it's the reverse. Like we have a primary gig,
right? Exactly.
And this is just something that we do, because we enjoy it.
You enjoy it,
and if something else, we get any other thing on top of that, we actually reinvest it back into our equipment. So that's really it. I think that's the right way to do if you're living off somebody else.
Well, I think we're doing it in a way because we are very cognizant that we have families to support. Because if we were doing this with just our girlfriends, then that would be a very different story. But we have families to support. So
I don't think I would be able to do that if it was just me.
Oh, you wouldn't you wouldn't go
full-time podcaster with no income coming in?
Well, you're not supporting anybody really except yourself.
No. Okay. I like toys. You know what I mean? I like toys. I like nice things. I like to buy nice things for people too.
Well, you can have nice things, but then maybe you can't have these nice things in this certain time period because you just focused on this.
At a certain age, you just kind of turn that leaf. You're tired of living like this. We grew up, we have very humble beginnings, right? I could survive like that, but I don't want to be in a position to survive. I don't want to play the survival game anymore.
Right.
I'm so over that.
So so you're saying at a certain age, I think where we are in our point of, I
want to build.
Age, you want to build.
I think it's time. Yeah. Right? If you don't build at this age, then I don't know if you. You got to get your stuff together.
No, I agree. I mean,
I can't. There's only so much where I'm gonna go. Baby, the podcast is gonna make it. Yeah. Joe Rogan just nailed the.
It's just like we thought he did 100 million. There's
300 mil.
Exactly. Right, numbers are changing.
Hey, all the Joe Rogan actually made 300 mil, baby. Don't worry.
We get 10% of that.
It's coming. Yeah. The podcast gonna make it. I'm not holding my breath for it, and I'm not doubting us or doubting anything. But what I am saying, there's a lot of uncertainties in any realm or space that you do. So I need to have that level of certainty because there's things that I must do.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to do that, I need some form of capital. Right?
And the form of capital can be reinvested into this, or it can be invested in other things to further your further your funding.
And I don't want to do this and feel all this pressure.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm on a podcast, like I got to say something interesting and be crazy fake on the podcast, just to make it entertaining. And every time I got to look at current events, what's going on, just so that, it goes into the algorithm and the analytics, and then they go, oh, this is hot right now, so they're going to start suggesting it, and the topic will come up. Like I don't want to do that. I don't want to chase topics. Right?
You just want to talk about what you are interested in, what you want to talk about.
Or if we have a guest that's proficient in what they want to talk about. I don't want to just look at bullet points and then start saying it. Like I know some other podcasters or other people that we know where everything's a script.
Mm-hmm.
They do it because of what is hot. Like for example, when the Asian hate thing was going on, they never cared about it. And we know for a fact that they didn't. They would tell us off the camera. They're like, yeah, whatever, it's bullshit. Yeah. Or they grew up in an area where it wasn't even true. They were like, yeah, whatever. And then they would talk about it more on their platforms and do certain things. And that's, I'm not bashing that at all. I'm saying that's great because it brings awareness to it. Anyone that does it is great. But at the same time, I don't want to do something like that where I feel like I need to chase something for people to go, oh, that's something that I just don't care about. I'm not just going to pretend I do. Yeah. I prefer to actually talk about something that I do care about. Or if I'm not aware of something, we have someone that's here that can speak to it.
Yeah, enlighten it and give a little more detail.
I love those conversations. Yeah. And that,
because I think we're
want the script. I don't want learning. You to go, hey, Will, can you ask me this question? Yeah. And I'll answer it like this. I'm like, excuse me? Like,
well,
no.
This is an unscripted show, guys. So I'm sure you know.
We've had that where people just giving us questionnaires.
Oh, yeah.
So that they can.
I feel like that's more of an interview, right? With a question, like a questionnaire. Just more of an interview.
Sorta. I mean, and I'm okay with that. Look, what I'm okay with, like, hey, Will, can we talk about this?
I wouldn't consider that as a podcast. Which is more of a conversation.
Yeah. If someone says, "Can we talk about this?" Yeah. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, but if they want me to just
focus on them
on a certain order, and I don't want to do that. And that's what I'm saying. If I'm like, oh man, but we have this big guest that will agree to come on if we're willing to do this.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
A scripted.
Yeah, interview. This guy has a platform and he's on our show. People will click on it.
You don't want to give them. He doesn't want any hardball questions.
Yeah, like
that's not a show for them.
They don't want something like for me to say something unpredictable that'll mess up their image or whatever it is. And I'm just like, we had a very prominent politician, right? I won't say the name, but that happened, right? They said that we will only give you an hour, and
only this day was
only
available.
This day we'll only give you this hour, and you can only ask these questions.
And we want to stay away from these questions.
And don't ask any. And what did we say? Get the F out of here! Like
we'll pass. And they kept actually texting me and asking me like, oh, we're available this time. No, I was like, no, sorry, we moved on. Yeah, we're done. And it would have been a really big show. It would have been a big show. You're losing credibility right there.
I want to go back to something. We were talking about it right as you came in when we were setting up. We're talking about fatherhood, and I think that's important. I hear a lot of talks about motherhood, but father, you're a dad now. I'm a dad.
A newly minted dad.
How important is having a father in your life?
It's incredibly important. I can't imagine if my father wasn't, part of my life. And I can say that, when I was growing up, my father, he has a disability. He was deaf. And he went deaf when he was in his teenage years, around 16. So he was still able to talk, but I never had deep conversations with him. It was always like, do you want to eat? But then I grew to understand that was a sign of affection from him. It's like, oh, do you want to eat? Because those are the simple things that I could really understand from him. I didn't really have deep deep conversations about life with him.
And you know what? A lot of Asian kids that I know, and their parents are, they have all their five senses. They don't have deep conversations with them either.
Right. And I feel like among my peers, among my, Chinese peers, that it was normal not to have these, very deep emotional conversations. Even like conversations about, what I wanted to do with my life, where I never had that. But he showed me how to be a man, if that makes any sense. He worked very hard, even with a disability. He went to work every day at a fortune cookie factory. He would come home with like burned hands, because back in the day, you do it with your hand, making the fortune cookie, bending it. But then the dough was super hot. So my uncle was telling me one time, your dad, he brought me to work a summer job at the fortune cookie factory, and I couldn't do it because it was like, this is coming from a guy who went to NYU. He worked in IT. He made bank, but he couldn't do this job. But my dad, he went every day to make money for the family. And besides that, he created like a painter, like an arts association here in Chinatown, with his friends. So he did so much creatively and also, financially supporting us. He showed me this, that someone with a disability can do all this. There's nothing I should be complaining about. If I can't do it, there's a way to do it. He gave me that insight that, if you really love your family, you do anything for them.
And you can't imagine if he was absent in your life.
I wouldn't have an example of a father figure that would be that selfless, So he gave me a representation what a great father would be, Even, some people might say, he was deaf. He wasn't a full man, but to me, he was a man. He took care of his family, and that to me represented a father figure.
Do you feel someone's at a huge disadvantage growing up without a father?
I think so, but then people do, they do go through life and survive, but I think having a strong father figure in your life gives you an advantage. Two
examples, you have LeBron James,
mm-hmm.
and then you have Kanye West.
Mm.
And some other folks that I know, but they're not famous, so I can't use it as a public example where people understand. But there are cases where people grow up with absent fathers, and they grow to be very successful.
I think that's, like we were talking about rare cases. Those are rare cases. Majority of the cases, they're not going to be the LeBron Jameses. They're going to be running wild on the streets doing stupid shit, right? So I think those are very rare cases because they had strong mothers. That took on both roles as father and mother. Yeah. And then when you actually like when you watch interviews with them, that was the case.
Yeah.
Kanye's mom.
Oh my gosh.
Amazing woman. I mean, based on just interviews, documentaries.
It's an incredible documentary. I went into it not really expecting much, and I only saw the first two, and I'm looking forward to see the third part. But it is incredible. Politics aside, how you may feel about Kanye and all that, politics aside, is just looking at what Kanye went through, how sweet his mother is and how strong she is. I mean, you cannot not love him, or at least respect him for what he's done. I mean, what he's done, it was through all the challenges, and he did this all with a mental illness. I mean, that is just, I am floored, and at the same time as I was watching it, I felt inspired.
Yeah, I only watched the first episode, but even in the first episode, I was like super impressed about the tenacity that he had, right? But then he also, the crazy thing was when he visited his mom in Chicago, his mom was like checking him. Oh, I think you're getting out of line talking about this stuff.
But she did it in the sweetest way.
In the sweetest way, yeah.
Where it reached him, where he got it, and he was like,
yeah.
Wait, you think I'm like, and you can tell he really cared about what his mom thought of him.
Yeah. There's no filter. He doesn't have a filter.
No one can mess with his like his thought process. Like if he thinks it's this is it. Like when everyone try to push on him, you're just a producer. You're just a beat maker.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm a rapper.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be known as just one thing or a combination of things. I just want to, like, I'm trying to be a rapper right now. That's self-belief. And he was saying, I'm great. But at that time, you got to remember, like, gangster rap was what was appealing, right? And he wasn't shot. Wasn't affiliated like that. And they're like, this guy cannot be big. And he's doing everything he's doing, but nobody else seems to believe him. Even the people that signed him didn't think, really misunderstood what he was all about,
right,
until he showed them. He literally used money from his own pocket to create his first album and to create the video and just to show. And he's made phone calls, set up interviews and called in favors. I mean, it's just incredibly intelligent in the way that he did it, but even more so driven. And you have to respect that, no matter how you feel about his politics or things that he does. And it also shows, like, as a nation, how do we treat someone with a mental illness? How quickly we're shunning them aside, and when they do have something to say, they do have something to add, something we can learn. And perhaps they do have a talent where they can inspire us and teach us.
Struggle or the mental illness side?
Not at those levels. I knew to get where he was, even as a hip hop fan before, I knew that to get where he was, there had to be some struggle. He wasn't just, there was something there, right? In the growth that he had. But I didn't know it was at that level. There's something else when you get to see a window, and it's just a small window through those lens of the documentary. But just to see, I mean, you get to see everyone that doubted him, right? The people in his own group, when he would rap in front of them, and they were just like, at least it was the way it was portrayed in the documentary, like they really look occupied with other things than to listen to this guy trying to string together some rhymes for them.
Some of the scenes that stood out was when I think he was walking through the offices of Rockefeller, and everyone was basically ignoring him.
Busy, they're working.
They're working. They're busy.
Like, I'll be honest, if I'm working and someone comes into my office and starts blasting music and rapping for me,
right? He's like playing the music.
But at the same time, if I am in the music industry and someone do that, that's on my radar.
Even more amazing was like the fact that we get a glimpse of, his conversations with his mother, and how, she was so supportive, so supportive. Even when she was saying, like, he was always the first one up front in the talent shows and everything like that. I was like, she's like the number one fan.
Having someone like that, on your corner, in life, I would feel unstoppable. I would feel like I could do anything. Like if I knew that if I fall and I would have someone catch me like that, I think I would have done different things. I would have took different risk. It was just, that was incredible to watch and hear, and just the energy that came around. It was just beautiful. It was beautiful. I mean, how many times did I go over to my friend's house, or my friends came over to my house, and it was not the same energy, right? The moms would be screaming, yelling, kids would be in trouble, physically hit. Like I've watched my friends get physically hit in front of their moms when I was there. I mean, it was just, it's incredible to see that type of peace and intelligence. There was emotional intelligence that she had.
There was a calmness when I saw that, and I want to emulate that in my household. When people come over, or my son wants to pursue something, I want to support him. I want to push him, but not be overbearing. But I want him to know that he has two people, mom and dad, in his corner, no matter what. So I don't know. It is important. And just to straight up answer your question, yes, super important.
Number one, forget about just the personality, between the male and the female energies, right? But financially, you're way more powerful.
It's not just like, double the income. It's compounded. Like, I use this as an example. You have like a horse. One horse pulls like a certain amount of pounds. But then if you have two horses, it's not double the amount of weight that they can pull. It's actually 4 times the weight.
Right.
So imagine, like, you put that analogy to having a 2-person household, or mom and dad's there. It's powerful.
Yeah, and they last longer too, right?
Yeah.
You have more energy because you have someone sharing the weight. So you can go further together because you're not using as much energy.
Yeah.
You guys can give each other breaks. The assumption that we're making is that you're a father that's there, that's present, that's loving and caring.
Right. As a newly minted father, what I realize is that you just have to roll with the punches. When Nico was born, he would sleep throughout the night, and now he's like waking up and he won't go back to sleep. Like, wake up at 3 a.m. and I'm just like, okay, I gotta wake up, and I gotta like just carry him until he falls back to sleep.
Have you learned anything that'll help you in your life? Like, did you make any adjustments
To
just self-improvement?
Okay, not
Like,
to fatherhood,
like-
just like in.
It may not have something that was a catalyst for them to adjust anything in their life, except that perhaps they're just sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? So then they just want to change because they want a new reality. They want to create a new identity for themselves.
You have to decide, what do you want to work on first. Like, do you want to work on your financial self, or do you want to work on your physical self or mental self? Because I don't think if you don't know what you're working on, you can't really know what steps to take. But you have to really analyze, like look within. Like, I wanted to make sure that I have enough energy to spend with Nico. How am I going to do that? Well, I got to make sure that I can carry him. That's one simple thing. I can carry him. My muscles are aching because, I'm constantly carrying him. He's constantly, like, now he's crawling. So how am I going to improve myself? Well, I take, I make sure that I'm going to the gym. I make sure I'm working out on the right stuff to make sure that, I am able to play with my son.
Yeah.
And I see this because a lot of the older people, like the grandmas are doting over him, but then I see that, it's tough for them to kind of chase after him. Even though he's 8 months old, he's just a fireball. He's constantly moving around now. So I want to make sure that, I have the physicality to make sure that I'm able to keep up with my son.
I know people that on the journey to financial freedom or to obtain a lot of money for themselves, they lost their health in the process. At a certain point, you will be faced with challenges. I think when you hit certain areas, when you hit in your 30s, maybe you're not as fast. Maybe you don't recover from your hangover as quick. I think that's the first sign, when your bones are creaking, when you don't recover as fast as you used to.
Oh yeah.
When your back starts giving out from just sitting too long, right? When you squat down and you pick something up and it just doesn't feel right. I think that's the first one. When you can't lift as much as you used to, right? And I think a lot of that is because we're doing all these things that are bad for us, unaware, because when we're young, we don't immediately feel the pain from it, lasting pain. Like, oh, I just got a hangover, bro. Yeah, it was so bad, but I'm good now. Right? And then you get those, but you get those every week, right? And you put yourself in those positions. And then by the time you're 40 now, you really slow down. And maybe some of those poisons that you ingested, maybe you'll start losing your muscle tone, your memory, your happiness.
Or you just never slow
Your
down with your
confidence.
age. You
Exactly.
you still have the same constant putting the toxins in your body, the same state, while your body's, you're growing older. So
you're abusing your body.
Yeah.
Right? You're trying
at the same rate.
Yeah, you're redlining it when you already have 100,000 miles on it, and you haven't changed any parts. I think that's dangerous. And at a certain point, I started realizing that, because I was that guy.
You were redlining.
I was Mr. Invincible, right?
Right, yeah.
YOLO everything, right?
Yeah.
I didn't care because I would recover quick. Oh yeah, whatever. I'll just get better. I'll be real quick. Oh yeah, I'll do this, and I'll take this risk, and I'll do this with my body, and I was paying for it. And then all of a sudden I noticed I was slowing down. I was like, whoa, what's going on? I noticed that my hangover was for the entire weekend now. Going into a Monday, I still felt shitty.
Oh wow.
Like, I didn't feel 100% I felt a little more sluggish.
And this is like from one night of, I guess, hard drinking, redlining.
That's it.
One night. Okay.
Partying, hard drinking, right? No drugs, none of that stuff. Just alcohol, right? And as I gotten older, I said, this has got to stop, especially during the pandemic. And I wanted to make an improvement, an immediate improvement, but I didn't want it to be like, I didn't want to wait. I didn't want this like 12-step process. I didn't want to, go at the gym for 2 years in order to see results, right? I just wanted to say, what can I do immediately that will improve my quality of life? The first thing that came to my mind, sleep.
That's so simple too.
That's it, but it was so hard. So I failed.
Oh wait, you failed to sleep.
I failed. And in the process of that, for whatever reason, trying to go to bed early also meant not having these alcoholic beverages because I usually drink at night, whether it's with my dinner or after dinner or with my friends. And it's usually always at night. Daytime, I'm working. When I'm working, I don't really mix.
Daytime, you're drinking, you're alcoholic.
When I'm working, I like to be focused and be at my best.
Yeah.
And then if I'm with my kids, I don't want to be drunk, right? I don't want them to remember that my dad always smelled like alcohol and he was always dizzy and saying some crazy shit, right? I want them to see me like sober me for who I really am. And then at night, I would, when I'm with myself or with my friends or whoever, I would have a drink and just relax and it would feel great.
They call it a nightcap.
Right. So in the effort to trying to be a morning person, going to bed at night really early, right? As soon as it gets dark, I'm in my bed, right?
Damn.
And I'm ready to go to bed. And as soon as the sun comes up, I try to rise with it. I try to go with the whole circadian rhythm. I failed miserably. Like it sounds so easy, but it was tough. But because of that, I noticed that I didn't drink for 2 or 3 weeks. And that was by accident. In the effort of trying to go to bed early and wake up early so I can exercise, I stopped drinking. And I was like, wait, I haven't drank in 2 or 3 weeks. Let me see if I could do this for another week.
So
another week.
So do you
another
think,
week.
I'm
It's
curious.
been 6 months.
That's, I applaud that. That's amazing.
And I haven't had a drink.
That's amazing.
6 months. And I've been to weddings. Within that 6 months, I've been to weddings.
Wow.
Birthday parties.
Surrounded by a free open bar, huh?
I've been at bars. I've been through the ringer, man.
Wait, what is the secret? What is the secret? Like, what do you drink? You drink like water at the bar? Like, how do you, because you're in a social situation, right?
Yeah.
So I think some people might think like, how do you
So if
get
I'm at
away
a wedding,
from drinking?
it's tea or coffee. Like I'm going to need
It's
some
something-
type of vice.
like
right?
a different beverage.
Yeah, so I'll do like tea or coffee, right? If I'm at the weddings while everyone's drinking. If I'm at a bar, if I could bring in a cup of coffee from outside. Again, I'm just gonna need something that I can hold on to reassure me for whatever reason. Like coffee does it. Coffee's able to help reassure me that I don't need something else, right? Or I'll drink a ton of water. I mean, you see me. I'm constantly like drinking water, like I'm preparing for a UFC
we have
fight.
to stop for multiple times.
Yeah, like I'm constantly drinking water. So that's what I keep. I have something to lean on, another beverage to lean on. That's not going to harm me too much, right? So as long as it's not alcoholic. And the immediate effects of it was crazy. I immediately, and when I say immediate, I mean like 2 weeks, right? Well, let's just say immediately, we're talking about the first few days, the quality of sleep.
Way better.
Can't compare, because before I would wake up in the middle of the night, some sweats, and then and it happened so frequently that I just got used to it. I just accepted it as part of life.
Oh, like it's like, people have insomnia, which is normal sometimes.
Right. And you just accept it as a
Yeah.
part of life. Like, all right, whatever. You go through like, it didn't kill me, but I'm still alive. But I feel shitty and I'm not 100%, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You kind of ignore it. But my sleep has changed.
Oh, so you found that like one like indicator that was causing all these issues.
Yep.
It's sort of like
by accident.
It's like you switched your bed and you had the better sleep. Like you found it.
Yep.
Wow.
Better sleep.
Yeah.
Because I'm better sleep, I'm happier. because of better sleep, I have more exuberance. There's way more energy now. When you talk about health, I recover much faster because I'm not ingesting poison, breaking down my muscles.
Well, not just that. Actually, what I notice when I sleep late is I also snack.
That too.
Yeah, so I snack, and I sometimes I do have a drink. So that one thing, early sleep, changed.
And I also have a sleeping window where I get sleepy at night. And it's a very small window, like within a half hour. If I don't go to sleep within that half hour while I'm
That's
sleepy.
really specific, yeah.
Yeah. I won't have that window again till like 3 or 4 a.m.
So did you get rid of all the alcohol in your home just to make things easier
Yes,
for
you
that
have
transition?
to. You have to. Like, I'm a firm believer that if you want to quit smoking, you can't be around cigarettes. Meaning, if you have friends that smoke,
You gotta cut them.
you may have to divorce your friends until
Yeah.
you could get it under control. That's what
Yeah.
I did. I used to smoke,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I quit in my 20s.
Chain
but-
smoker almost, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you remember in college,
Yeah.
I was smoking a lot. And I wanted to quit smoking. And it was also kind of by accident. I just went cold turkey. I was just so tired of, like, for example, if I'm playing basketball or going for a jog, being the first one to get tired and full of sweat when the game hasn't really even started. It's just people are just warming up and I'm exhausted. And I'm supposed to be at the prime in my life. I'm 23, 24, and I'm suffering like that, and I just can't breathe. I really didn't like that.
But you knew that smoking was the cause of that at that point.
Oh, of course. I always knew.
It was like almost like
but it was. I always thought I was invincible too.
ignorance is bliss.
Right? I just denied it. I was like, yeah, whatever. It's all good. I know it's bad for me, but F it. You know what I mean? It's one of those. It's just not being smart at the way I looked at things and not being critical enough of myself, in a way, and not giving myself enough credit to say, you know what, I can make a change in my life. I have the power to stop. And it got to the point where I was just so sick and tired of like just seeing someone that I know I was better than, right? Just I'm a better player, and seeing that person thrive, and I couldn't because I was just didn't have the stamina for it. I was just tired, my lungs. So that really helped move things along. So I stopped hanging out with my friends that smoked. And some of them are childhood friends, man.
Yeah.
My best friends. And I stopped. That meant stop having to go to bars, parties, all the fun stuff that you would love to do in your 20s. And then I'm not in any of the pictures that everyone's taking, and I'm missing out on all good time. And since I'm saying no so many times, they stop calling me.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then I start going, and here's another revelation. Holy shit. Like, are we friends only because I have the same vices as y'all? Is that because, like, what is friendship, right? Like, people that you share stories with, hang out, do things together, plan things together. Well, we didn't do any of those things anymore once I stopped drinking and smoking.
Well, to be fair, you also pulled yourself away from those situations, right?
Right. But even after the fact, when I was clearly good.
Oh, you're already.
Oh, yeah.
You're okay with being around them.
Yeah. It didn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And I wouldn't judge them. Like, you still drink. A lot of my friends still drink, right?
Yeah.
And I'm totally fine with that. You guys can have your drink. It doesn't bother me. Like I said, I was at a wedding, birthday parties, all that. I was totally fine. I didn't judge anyone. Actually, we had some great conversations. We had a great time, shared a few laughs.
Well, maybe those moments when they were calling you out was to go to the bar, to those events, right? Instead of like, okay, let's go to a game.
What I realized that they only did, it was the same type of plan. It was drink, eat,
right,
go back to get some more drinks, go chill, do something. Everything was revolving around alcohol.
Those situations, yeah.
That's it. And watch a movie. It was like the same kind of formula. And I didn't even realize, like, I got caught in this weird vortex of drink, bar, party.
The same old.
At a certain point, it just seemed so whack to me. And then when I started noticing these guys, like, their skin looked hella dry, their hair started falling out. Right? I don't know genetics.
They look
but
older.
All of them started, looking.
I mean, we don't look like we're in our, I don't want to mention
I mean,
it, but we
because
don't look that old.
I don't care what you say. If you don't take care of your body, it's going to show in your face. It's going to show in your fingernails. It's going to show in your eyes. You know, their eyes wasn't as bright anymore. It looked a little more dark.
Or yellow. Or
Yeah. Their hairline started getting pushed back. Their skin looked little, you know, it just didn't look right anymore. And I was like, yo, I don't want. And they were partying hard, man. And I said to myself, I want to take care of myself. I think I'm going to be old for a long time, a lot longer than I will be young.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to look like going down on the hill with my health to look at my worst, it better be worth it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't look like it's worth it anymore. You know, I took a step back. Anyway, quitting drinking in the last 6 months. I mean, that was first quitting smoking.
Yeah.
Right. And quitting drinking. And I've done that before.
Yeah.
Right.
Multiple times.
Right. But it's different when you do it at my age now. It's before I didn't really look at it as where it would fix my health that quickly. I just wanted to be healthy because, you know, I'm trying to have a baby. I didn't want to, you know,
jeopardize any situation.
Yeah, I was real sensitive with that, right? So I was trying to take care of myself as best as I can while I was trying to have a baby, while we were trying to have a baby. And then now I just did it by accident, and I just started noticing, wow, my back doesn't hurt as much anymore. I could be in a gym for way longer, and I want to stay there, right? And when I'm running, I want to play with my kids more. Like, I don't get as tired because when you're tired, you don't want to do things anymore. You're just fatigued, and you automatically want to rest and recoup some of the energy that you invested.
Right. Yeah.
My energy is for days now. I have so much energy, and I'm already a high energy person.
Yeah.
My energy is like, I feel like a kid again.
But you figured out that, you know, you could be high energy, but then you do need time to lay low, rest, because you figured out that, okay, that sleep that you needed it to operate at high energy level, like a high level.
Yeah. And I love moving at a high energy pace. Right. And then at some point, just chill out. To me, that's the most thrilling ride. You know, that's the way I like to live my life. It just feels like I'm alive. And I think when we get drunk, it can give us a false sense of that, because you do get a surge of energy while you're drunk. Like when you hit that perfect drunk level,
Yeah,
you're just like,
you're climbing on top of cars and, you know, screaming on top of your lungs. That's happened to me only once. So
yeah, I mean, you feel great.
Right.
You feel great, but no, you know, I do kind of miss that. You know, I don't think I'm gonna have that feeling for a while. And I'm not bashing alcohol completely, like where I'm saying like, oh, I'm totally done with it. I'm totally divorced from it for the rest of my life. I'm not gonna put that pressure on myself. But what I am saying is like, I don't need it right now.
right.
I've been doing well without it, and I just want to see how long I can keep this up. Now, summer's coming up, and things might change.
I'm super impressed that you were even at situations like a wedding or at bars where
I think that was the big test.
That was a huge test.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like now you're seeing as like the summertime. Now everyone's out. You know, everyone's having
and then,
fun.
you know, like it seems like the world is getting over COVID all of a
It's coming
sudden.
back. It's coming
It's
back.
complete 180. It feels like
Yeah.
it feels like all of a sudden the 180.
When I was in Florida,
It was like the world's ending.
was a different
we
world.
saw like a long in New York City. We saw like a whole bus, a bus and lines to get. This was just a couple of months ago. This was like 6 weeks ago to 8 weeks, where I saw long lines almost to the end of the block just to get tested.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Remember
Yeah,
that?
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
I think that was like because of the new variant or whatever.
Right. And now everything's like all good right now. And the way it's trending, it looks like we're going to be back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because if you go out of New York City, it's a totally like you're living in a different world. Like I was in Florida, no one wears a mask.
Oh yeah.
Anywhere.
They're
I saw some people in the supermarket, but that's about it. I mean, majority of people don't. So me coming from New York, you know, and being in Florida, to me it was you're in a different world, like a different reality. So I am coming back. I was like, okay, this is we gotta.
But
Something's
what the
gotta
heck
change.
happened? Omicron is still out there.
Yeah, I don't know.
COVID is still out there. Like,
Yeah.
why all of a sudden people?
I think it's manageable now. I mean, it's still out there, but like we've talked about this, that the fact that it will become, some sort of the flu, similar to the flu. Like,
Do you think people are just like, you know what? Fuck it. They're just
yeah, some parts there.
like,
Yeah,
I'm
like that
not
as
staying
well.
at home anymore. I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
Like,
I felt that way
I
when
wanna
I came
live
back
my
from
life.
Florida. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, people don't walk around with masks here? But then it's
Florida,
also,
Texas.
yeah. So, I mean, when I came back, my mom thought I was crazy. I'm like, I'm not wearing a mask anymore
It's really
when I'm outside.
Cali and New York are,
Yeah.
are really the more
Conservative,
the liberal states were the most conservative.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things that I've been thinking when I came back from Florida that I'll be reassessing also in my life. So, I think one thing I could recommend for people to really, since they've been cooped up with the pandemic and everything, is to get out of New York. And then get out of New York, look at
Well, how do you know? What
look
if
at
they don't live in New York?
Oh,
We're assuming all of our listeners listen. We know that they don't.
Yes.
Actually, the majority of our listeners probably aren't even in New York.
I mean, they're
When you take the aggregate,
a majority are from the U.S. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, if you want a different perspective, just get out of where you are and then open your eyes to that. And then, then you have a more complete picture of what's going on in the world. So
I like that.
Yeah.
I like
So
that.
it just made me realize, like, coming back
But
from
not even out
Florida
of
is-
when you leave the country, you also get a different perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
A completely different perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to knock your socks off.
Not everyone's in pandemic mode. It's like people are living their lives, and I think there's a certain point where you have to be safe, but there's also a point where, I think you're just taking it too far, and you don't want to live in the past, obviously. So I think we're at a point where we can move forward, start moving forward.
I think so. It seems like a lot of corporations would agree.
Yeah.
They're beginning to have people go back to their offices, and if they haven't, they're making plans, or they probably already made plans and letting their colleagues and workers know that they're going to have some, especially a hybrid approach, that they'll be back in the office at least a few times a week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I mean, considering from my perspective, I don't want to go back to an office. So I want
Are
to.
they making you go back?
There's plans to, but
Same thing with
but
us.
more of a hybrid system.
Yeah.
So,
we're in a
you know.
hybrid system. Everyone I know is in a hybrid system,
Yeah.
or preparing to be in
Yeah.
one.
But I know people, even during the pandemic, they were forced to go back to the office, But they were, they worked in corporate, like a hedge fund, finance. They had to go back to the office. Their companies would pay for them to travel back and forth, like a private car. So there are certain situations, certain companies that needed people back, in person.
Some people make good points, like, hey, if you have record productivity, record profits, and we did that all while working from home, why should we be forced to go back into the office? And a lot of them to say to stimulate the economy, the travel economy,
Yeah.
right? Where you need to commute.
I was going to say control.
The bus.
But that's, it's
Control?
Yeah.
Let's get to that.
Yeah, I thought.
But then the food vendors, the restaurants, commercial real estate, all of that, they took a toll. At least in New York City, they did. There was just a lot of residual impact to other vendors out there.
Businesses
So-
outside of the
Right.
immediate.
The person from the business owner from the hot dog stand, to the person selling T-shirts, to the sneaker store, to if they weren't able to shift their business digitally and have a online store and make it thrive, they either went out of business or they're hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
But what about that?
When it comes to making people going back to the office, it's about not allowing the system to change, not allowing people to adapt or businesses to adapt.
So flexing their power.
Yeah. So, the point that you made was about, the businesses, the ancillary businesses, the peripheral businesses. I get that. But I think ultimately it's about control, corporations making sure that they have a stranglehold on their employees, and making sure that, you we're paying you to do a job. We want you to do the job specifically to what we want.
Even if they have record profits, even if they have record productivity levels from their employees.
Yes. So
they
that's
would still say, hey, do it this way, even if it means less profit and less productivity.
I don't think it's going to be less profit. I think it's going to be the same. I mean, either you do it at home or you do it
so they,
in the office. They
just want to show everyone that they can, and that's the way they want it.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that,
why?
You hear about like how corporations, they are very rigid and they don't change. Right. But you see the new tech companies, they're willing to adapt, even going to the model of total remote. And I see like a lot of corporations are they've lasted for 50 years, like decades, and I don't think they want to lose that control over their employees. So that's why you see financial institutions, actually, they've never been remote. Like I know my cousin, she works for a hedge fund. She's never, she even at the start of the pandemic, she probably did remote for 2 weeks, and then her company wanted her back in the office. But they even paid for like transportation for her.
Right, but there's only so much that they can fight the future. It's inevitable.
I think so. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree that it's inevitable, but then it's going to be for corporations that are so rigid and they're not allowing their employees to have that flexibility, they're going to lose them.
On another note, there's a lot of companies that force their employees to wear suits when it's not even necessary. That's what I hear.
I think that's also a form of control too. But why? Why force that upon your employees when it's not necessary? If you're not client facing, you work back office, why do you want to force people to wear basically a uniform?
Yeah.
Even
some folks in the tech center where they are client facing, they just wear t-shirts and jeans.
Oh, I don't know. I think there seems to be...
I've met sales reps. We've met sales reps.
I mean, to me, that's weird. Yes, I've met
in the tech field,
in advertising too.
And they just wear t-shirt, jeans, and shoes, and these guys get paid like $200K a year.
I think there's
whereas I know a guy that wears suits that's not even cracking 100.
Yeah, we're in the wrong business, man.
And in the summer too, fully. Like talking about 100-degree New York City, hot, humid, nasty, smog,
sweater,
pollution, everything.
Sweaty.
Yeah, and you walk around, you will see some. I mean, this is pre-pandemic, but there were people wearing suits, the full-on tie. They may have a button on top and tie loosened, but they got the blazer. And if I go to like Chipotle for lunch or some restaurant. For when those guys take it off, you see the full back sweat going on.
You got the armpit sweat too.
Yeah, just like, and I'm sure like their clients are probably like, dude, just come in a fucking t-shirt. What are you doing?
Yeah.
This like looking at you. You ever look at someone like that? You feel hot for them.
You feel uncomfortable looking at them. Yeah, I had the feeling.
That. You gotta change that. At least give them summers. Maybe let them rock a polo with some slacks or some dress pants. Like that's. Or a polo with some chinos. Like it ain't that serious.
At that point, I feel like
as long as they look neat.
Yeah, but at that point, I feel like these employees are brainwashed already. Like at that point, that they're like, no matter what season, this is who I'm supposed to be, and that's kind of sad.
So as long as we can control how they dress, we can control how they get paid.
That's another thing. I wanted to break out of that like kind of life rat race circle, and that's why. I've looked at other ways to make sure that I have a goal to be financially independent by the time I'm 45. So I said that also, like when you're asking about what things were, changing during the pandemic, my mindset during the pandemic was to make sure that I'm not going to be forced or be controlled by by a corporation, that I'd be holding to them to the point where one day they can just fire me. That's not what I want, or for my family.
You gotta go scramble for the next gig.
Exactly. So that's what actually opened my eyes. Also during the pandemic, was to make sure that I was making moves that I will achieve financial independence by the time I'm 45.
That's
So,
a great goal. It's fair.
I mean, it's huge. You know, we don't know. We'll see.
Because I mean, a lot of the cases, like, we have to be self-made. You know,
Yeah.
we don't have this big inheritance that's coming our way, which would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I would not
And
you know.
pay estate tax. You know,
I think there's ways around it.
there's a limit. I think it's like 500,000, but that's a lot.
But there's
So-
also other ways around it that they do. From
Well,
what I
if
hear.
you know, let me know. Off, you know, maybe we can share with our audience, and then you learn something.
I think a quick Google search will help them figure it out. If our audience has that problem, that's a great problem to have. You know.
We'll directly email our patrons
Yeah.
these secrets.
Anyway, that is our episode. It's been a while since we had one with just us.
It's actually I miss it. It's kind of weird, but then I think like I love having conversations with you because, you know, we get to talk about, you know, things that are happening in our world. You know,
We usually have conversations like this anyway.
yeah,
With or without the cameras, and just maybe with a
No,
glass
that's
of wine
true.
or a
Yeah,
glass
yeah.
of whiskey.
yeah, that's true. But you're not drinking anymore, so it's,
Yeah, no.
you know, with a cup of coffee
No
and I have
interest.
my
Give me
whiskey.
a cup of coffee, a cup of water. I'm good.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you all for listening.
Lucky Boys Podcast.